Yeah, it's been a while.
Welcome back. It has been quite some time.
A few years.
It hasn't been that long.
Oh, yes, it has.
All right, it has. All right, you got me.
Really?
Yeah, like what, 2021? Something?
2020, 2021.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yep, so that's been fun.
So if there's a gold medal for procrastination,
Just look at my yard, I win.
we deserve that.
We do.
And it was actually my idea to start the podcast back up because I was just like randomly one day, hey, when are you guys going to do the podcast?
No.
And then it was like, I don't know. We're computer stupid, so I'm computer somewhat smart. And
wow, first time on the podcast putting us down. That hurts. He's not wrong.
Not wrong at all.
So, but here we are, and we all have like a like-minded interest of things, and
I will say in our defense, my defense really, because I did the computer stuff before, and he ran into the same issues that I did, and he couldn't figure it out. So, suck it.
but anywho,
What was the question that you had, like at the very beginning, where we were like, "That's a great start."
We gotta pick a cryptid though. Can't just be like, what would it take for you to believe in UFOs, Bigfoot, cryptids, skinwalkers? 9/11 was an inside job. What would it take? Because which one are you picking?
yes. It's the intro episode, trying to bring back the idea of everything.
How fucking loud is that AC gonna be?
I have no idea. I can see it.
It's showing up on the screens. It's probably gonna interfere a little bit. Give it like 3 minutes and it should be good. It's gonna get a little hot in here.
But
What was the name of that company? Service Professor. Something with a smile.
Ooh, sure. No.
You might as well hit pause.
the 2 seconds that I hit pause.
Well, you fucked up. So, that's not my fault. Did you pick a cryptid yet? Or a being or entity or a supernatural occurrence thing?
I just like the
People,
idea
places,
of
nouns.
just like some of the topics that we would dive into.
Okay, let's get into that, and then we'll ask the question. Andrew, do you have a list of questions or topics?
No, not in this phone.
God damn it.
I have
Fucking ruin the flow. Ruin it.
handwritten notebook because I am an old ass person. Also, I had notes on a different phone, and I'm trying to figure out how to sync those right now.
Yeah. Well, I had a couple. Let me look through my endless amounts of notes. A recent one. My wife, out of literally nowhere while she was folding laundry, so I guess it wasn't that out of nowhere, wanted us to do an episode on dryer gremlin.
Dryer gremlins?
Facts.
Is that where the socks are going?
Yes.
And I thought that it would be fun, baby. So what happened was she did the laundry. Always, all the clothes were unsnapped, unbuttoned, and all that stuff. She put a baby onesie in the dryer, unsnapped, and it came out all snapped perfect.
Okay, that's never happened. It's usually always like something goes missing.
And I'm not smart enough, so it would take the brain power of all three of us to come up with a mathematical probability of that, so we could do an episode on that. There's got to be an equation out there somewhere. Google can teach us.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. I really want to get into cryptids really bad, like all of them. Skinwalkers, Bigfoot. Bigfoot's a little overplayed now, but Bigfoot,
Yeah.
he deserves a spot.
He's overplayed for a reason. Like, relevant,
I say
it's if nothing else, an undying piece of lore.
And I say overplayed, but there's like 8 to 10 things of Bigfoot in this room right now. Sticker right there. I had a whole list of things. I think one of the big things that Andrew and I wanted to talk about was missing 411.
Yeah, that's like it was at the top of the list. Military blunders was another
That was up there.
thing. Military operations that were just either born of complete ridiculousness, like
The Baltic Fleet.
yeah, like there are some operations that you just look at it and it's
1896.
the fact that people actually mobilized and spent money and lives on some of these things is just absolutely mind-blowing.
Right, like you always think, like, at least those people know what they're doing, and they fucking don't.
right. They're in charge of the whole country, like lives and whole
You have the
militaries.
might of the military of your country, and you are fucking horrible at it.
Stupid. But I mean, a lot of those, especially in the Baltic Fleet, like that was an ego thing. Mm-hmm. And ego death does tend to have a flair.
His ego mixed with like desperation, I think. You had brought it up, music and the occult.
Music and the occult, yes.
Did Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin sell his soul to the devil in Aleister Crowley's house?
Do
he did buy
modern musicians continue to sell their souls? You know, there's a lot of arguments out there about up-and-coming artists and what they look like when they first get popular versus what they look like now. Mm-hmm. You know, like the first album of... I just pick anyone that's huge name now. And look at their first selling album and just the pictures, the iconography, mm-hmm. the lyrics, and all of that, and then compare it to their most recent release. And obviously, there's a lot to be said about that. In the people change. What sells changes, so you're gonna change to conform with that. But at the very least, you know, there's something to be said about that conformity and like the level and the amount that people are willing to go to obtain that money. Like, at what point does it continue to be worth it, even if there isn't an occult, like a spiritual theme of forces pulling on it?
Right. And I think the argument for it is that, and then against it is just like, well, one thing to keep in mind is shock kind of sells. It's the same reason, like, Slipknot wears the mask and they all look scary, or Ozzy Osbourne bites the head off a bat, or whatever, and does the things that Gwar does.
And another thing too is like the thing with Katy Perry, mm-hmm. where she just like was normal everyday life, and then all of a sudden just glitch. And like
that's a really interesting one.
Like how do you explain
of those, like TV news producers, etc., and anchors, and they just sit live on TV, just the weird facial twitches and expressions that.
Brought
like
to you by
said,
Pfizer.
Glitch. That's probably that's what I'm saying. Probably the best way to describe it is a glitch.
That does bring me to another thing that we don't have in our notes is celebrity replacement, which I think is super cool. Like
Avril Lavigne.
I was trying to think of that one. Is it the same Avril Lavigne? Because they don't look the same.
They don't.
They don't.
Because the first album, like, I was madly obsessed with her. She was so gorgeous, and then it's like. Who is this? Like, It's not the same person.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the span.
Not long.
Like,
I mean, she kind of like disappeared for a minute, right?
Yeah, like a few years. Like, that's it.
So?
But it's like, there's so many instances where like they'll line up photos of just like a couple years apart, or like they had a fallout, and it's like, who the fuck is? I thought that's what they always looked like.
Dude,
and then you see a picture before.
Look at my pictures 1 year apart.
I mean, same. She says the same. She says I'm a shapeshifter. I grow my hair out a little bit, and it's like, who the fuck is that?
Right, different person.
So,
but I mean, I have pictures a year apart where like almost 100 pounds different.
Right.
Like I don't.
You
look
do look
the same
different.
at all.
Yeah.
Went from being like a tubby, short little guy with short hair to just being 100 pounds lighter with dreads to my shoulders almost.
No, you're not wrong. And I like the devil's advocate shit going on here, too.
Yeah, that's what I love, playing devil's advocate. I'm going to do that a lot.
I am literally so skeptical that it annoys the shit out of myself.
I don't know. I've not heard of this theory in Avril Lavigne, though, so I should probably look at some of these comparison photos.
It's worth a Google.
Yeah, it's worth a look up.
Yeah. It's entertaining, if nothing else. Atlantis. Lost Civilizations?
Yes.
The Lost Continent of Mu, especially on the subject of Atlantis, because everyone talks about Atlantis and no one talks about how Atlantis disappeared. And Atlantis disappeared because they were at war with another civilization just as powerful. At least that is a theory that I love to talk about.
we had talked about it a little bit. It's a lot of fun.
The Lost Continent of Mu, you're like, the Lost Continent of what?
Right, you like sent me a text and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, but like there's a huge shelf that's like sunken in the ocean where that would have been, and it lines up with the Rishat structure, the Eye of the Sahara. It is being described in like geographic location, like locale to the continent of Mu, and pretty much obliterated each other.
And I think that there used to be a lot of talk about like Atlantis was here in the mid-Atlantic, Atlantis was here or here or here. I think it's pretty, if it ever existed, it's the Eye of the Sahara.
Oh, the Rishat structure.
Yeah. And after watching that episode of Joe Rogan where that one guy talked about it.
Right insight.
Yeah, and after seeing that, I was like, I'm a firm believer that's Atlantis.
Right. He has a great argument for it. which could just lead into all these ridiculous mysteries about Egypt. And why the fuck are archaeologists literally covering up and stopping people from investigating even further? That's a thing that's happening. Like, you're not allowed to go certain places because, like, whatever reason. Pick one. Fucking make one up.
I feel like they were not tombs. I feel like the whole theory of the electricity and like the water and the frequency can produce the free electricity or whatever theory.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open-minded to everything.
So I'm looking at these. I only found one picture so far, and just on the Wikipedia page, there's a Wikipedia page on the Avril Lavigne replacement conspiracy theory. But it's actually, well written. It says a conspiracy theory that originated in 2011 states that Canadian singer Avril Lavigne died in 2003, shortly after the release of her debut album Let Go, 2002. And was replaced by body double named Melissa Vandella. Evidence used to support the theory include changes in Lavigne's appearance between 2003 and the present, supposed subliminal messaging in her follow-up album Under My Skin, 2004, and a photo shoot in which Lavigne has the name Melissa written on her hand. The theory is the subject of the BBC Sounds podcast Who Replaced Avril Lavigne. Under My Skin is the second studio album by Canadian.
Okay. The Avril Lavigne one is really good. The Britney Spears one is mind-blowing because she does like these little TikTok videos and shit like that. And there have been, I've only seen it a couple times, and who knows anymore with AI and all that bullshit. But legitimately, like, she'll move one way and her like tattoo will disappear and glitch out and then come back.
What?
Or like her face looks like it like shows a different face behind it for a split second. And those are things that she's been posting like recently since she got out of like the creative lawsuit.
Wouldn't that just be like shitty filters, like AI filters or whatever?
I mean, maybe, but like
it's like having a hard time tracking her face.
Why do it?
I don't know. There's been a lot of discussion about like her mental stability, so maybe
and that's a big thing.
Those things, like using those crappy filters, give her a lot of confidence in posting it, and that whatever the issue is she's talking about is so real to her that she doesn't see the crappy effects.
And I
launches it.
I do love that, but it like
devil's advocate
for sure.
We need to get me a little pair of like horns.
We need a little button that like clicks and like lights a light. Like I'm about to fucking contradict you.
No, we need little devil's horns, and I'll click a button so they light up.
I love that. We can all get a pair. Like I'm about to shit on you.
That's a great idea.
I like that. Okay, that's what we're doing. You guys can't see it, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Going back to the pyramid things, and then that brought me onto the topic of like pyramids around the world, because there's just so many all over the place.
And so many theoretical.
And maybe even we can get into pyramid schemes. God
and
damn
then
it.
That kind of, like, that whole episode idea would fall into, of like, say, pyramids, and then ending with the supposed pyramid in Antarctica.
Supposed?
Yeah, I'm just, the idea.
There's certain things that we
I'm a believer
right now.
I'm a believer that there is a pyramid in Antarctica.
What about Bosnia?
Yes.
God damn it, I wish I had more knowledge on this. I could say, or this country.
There's one more I would like to ask you about, and I know I'm interrupting you, and I apologize for that. It starts with a K. Are you familiar with this? It's the K something, Kandara, shaft. It's in Russia. The Nazis, because the Nazis had a whole branch of the military devoted to the occult and witchcraft and like legends. And they were using it to. Do you want me to turn on the scanner? And they were using it to.
Tempted, but no.
They were like that branch of the military to search for like these legendary lost places in underground cities, and they were convinced that there was one in the mountains of Russia in this certain spot. And they went looking for it, and no one really knows, like in the records that were recovered, whether or not they found it. Whatever, this guy became obsessed with looking for it. He goes there, he finds a swastika carved in and like marked on the rock and stuff, and he finds this shaft and the Karahora, I believe that's what it's called, the Karahora shaft. And like, so people have climbed down there and mapped this thing, and if you look up pictures of this and you look at it from the inside, it's like, oh, they're inside a pyramid.
Really?
Like there's no There's no, it's not, it's a space that was engineered and it was built, but it was not engineered or built for like, it not as hallways or passageways. It's like part of a mechanical structure. Like they're inside the radiator, basically. You know what I mean? Of some kind of structure. But there's a picture in there from their exploration that if you look at the picture of the inside of the pyramid, looking straight up, you're like, that's the top of the pyramid. Like they're inside the pyramid. But it's huge if you look up pictures of it. Anyway,
well,
you were on... Josh was on pyramids, and I went on a tangent straight through his line.
No, I have actually never heard of that.
I've never heard of it either, and I tried to Google it just now, and I think I spelled it wrong because all I'm seeing are golf shafts and how to make a Kalahara, the coffee cocktail.
I think that's what it was called. Did
you
find it?
Our Google searches look very different.
Did Josh find it?
Yeah,
the very first link is My Golf Spy Shaft Review.
My first is Reddit. And then YouTube, and then the whole Russian thing. But anyways,
Kalahara shaft, or a horse shaft.
Carve a horse shaft. What? Turn this cactus on.
Carl Hester talks about his horses.
I'm definitely gonna have to research that myself. But anyways, then going into Antarctica, and then like Mike brought up the hollowed Earth theory. With the entrance being Antarctica and all that.
We don't talk about that.
It's just a topic of discussion. We don't have to believe it or not. It's a point of interest.
As long as we don't talk about Andrew and I's planned expedition to go do it. You didn't record that, did you? Oh, we're not planning that.
They're going to kill us now.
Anyway.
And then leading
we're really just canoeing the Mississippi.
In Canada.
And then going into... Hollow Moon.
The moon is 1,000% hollow.
It rings
like a bell.
And
I'm
then
turning into a pumpkin.
Going into where'd it go? I just lost it.
I really want to get into Hollow Moon. My all-time favorite. I don't know about all-time, but I'm dramatic, so I'm going to say all-time.
I'm going to say that about everything.
Holographic Moon.
No,
it's so
I reject it.
I don't give a fuck. Fine. All right, I'll respect it. But I won't.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate all the way through the holographic moon theory.
Dude, it's
I will listen to you with
nonsense.
an open mind, but it is hollow.
Total
not
nonsense.
holographic.
For sure. Holographic moon, total nonsense, but very fun and interesting.
Mind to be hollow.
Also, on that subject, I have a whole nother thing. Goes into the flat Earth, which I would love to get into because
that was what I was going to bring up next.
Oh, I stole
that video was amazing.
Well, because we talked about that. We had the flow of the episode.
We'll post it somewhere. But flat Earth, and then I worked with a guy who I've talked about on this podcast before who sent me a video. It's just too good not to appreciate. We'll get into it later. Space is fake. We get into that too while we're talking about space.
Yeah.
Well,
stars aren't real.
Well, hang on.
Truman Show.
But is that part of the simulation? Is that part of the simulation discussion? Space is fake.
I don't think so, because the simulation discussion is that like you and I aren't even real. So like it'd be a separate. That's more along the lines of like Truman Show, where like all of the shit that you see around you is real. Just when you look up, we just happen to be in like a fucking dome with some weird lights on it, and they just want to pretend, you know? So I see those as two different categories altogether. It could also be a simulation right now and still be the way that it is, because it could just be, I don't know.
Rob, the plans to build a liquid fueled rocket if we want to find out if we're in a dome.
I'm down.
But there are videos of people just everyday people building rockets, and they go up and then all of a sudden tink, and then it just...
Is that real though?
I've never seen a video of that, and I've launched some really big fucking rockets.
I've never seen that.
Granted, they all came back on a parachute,
undamaged,
but well, no, some of them went fast enough to like peel the paint and the clear coat off the nose cone, and some of them came down in less than ideal conditions. But
also, I would say that if there is like a firmament,
not really big,
that is stopping us, it would be 80,000 feet. No matter how big of a backyard
there's
rocket
no way
you're not making it.
Yeah, no. Because I think the largest rocket engine that you can have with a license is like an O-sized engine for a hobby rocket. And those are big. That's a lot bigger than you probably think it is. It's not 80,000 feet big. The biggest engines I ever launched were like a G80. And those are loud enough when the rocket goes off to set off nearby car alarms.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. But I would imagine licensed, you would need to, if it goes that high, you're still not even coming close to touching commercial commercial airlines.
No, that's what I said. Yeah, that's what I said. Well, I'm not sure because I know with those big ones like the M through O, M, N, and O engines, when you're licensed for it, you actually have to go out to like a designated place. You can't just I have this license, I'm going to launch this rocket in my backyard. They weigh hundreds of pounds and they're like 7-8 feet tall.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty legit.
They're a lot bigger. They're not little. The once you have to have a license for the model rocket, it's not really a model anymore. It's just a solid fuel rocket rather than a liquid.
Right.
But I mean, Goddard built a liquid fueled rocket with like fucking kitchen scraps. Who? Robert Goddard, the father of modern rocketry.
We can get into it.
You made me sad. I feel like a nerd now.
Don't feel like a nerd. Treat me like an idiot.
We're all nerds.
Yes, you uncultured swine. I remembered this man's name and almost no facts about him from the 7th grade. I'm so intelligent. I'm pretty sure I could even be butchering that. Is that even the right person?
Also, we should probably rename this podcast to the ADHD Club.
1000%. ADHD discussions of...
yeah. Anything else, Jen? I know you have a whole list in front of you.
I'm fact-checking myself now.
1,000 lists. You're fact-checking.
I had another one about topic of
inventor. God, Robert Goddard.
All right, settle down, nerd.
Dragons. Were they real?
Ooh, I thought about this a lot because there is literally so many dinosaur bones. Who says that they're put together correctly?
That is one of the points. That is one of the points that I would make. Because have you ever seen drawings based on skeletons? Like in the early 1800s, 1700s, there's artistic drawings by scientists of what animals look like based on their skeletons, and it's ridiculous. And it was like the skeleton of a hippopotamus, and they drew based on based on these skeletal features, this is what this creature would look like. And it's like the most alien looking shit you've ever. They're completely wrong.
I have seen stuff like that. I just think it's really interesting. It's such a stupid fucking question that it's brilliant. Like, how do we know? How do we know that you put it together right? Because you're a fucking guy who had a degree.
If they were light enough to fly, that would mean like their fossil or their bones won't fossilize. But then you have the Chinese depiction where it's like a flying serpent. Or then you have a dragon where you have the 4 legs, the wings. Then you have the wyvern where it's got the back legs, but the front legs are a part of the wings. But then all the different dinosaurs or whatever, like they could have had feathers. They could have had like a bat skin type thing. Or
here's my biggest argument.
You
for
named
dragons.
Like 4 different types of dragons. You're no longer a nerd. You are.
We should have a nerd hat to pass around. My theory on dragons relies heavily on the bones as well, and I like what you said about if the bones were light enough for them to fly, then they would be more fragile, they wouldn't fossilize well. And then additionally, if the creatures could breathe fire or had any kind of a caustic feature to them, that maybe that part of their anatomy would also break down the skeleton after death. So there's just nothing left. But what you said about the bones too, that's what happened to a lot of the giants in North America, is their bones were plowed over through burial mounds in the farming boom and just assumed to be the bones of mammoths, oxen, and what have you. But the other thing about dragons is this, that at the height of their population on the planet, modern science assumes that there were 8 billion T-Rexes living and roaming on the face of the planet.
I have heard that.
And you know how many complete skeletons we have?
4?
3, I think.
Yeah.
And they're not all even like the same animal.
I know that this is part of that ADHD thing. I just also want to bring this up really quick. Can we rewind for just a second?
Yes, please.
Bookmark whatever the fuck you guys were gonna say next. On the topic of there were 8 billion fucking T-Rexes and they only have 3.
Maybe it was 6, but there was a B.
Less than 1,000. The thing about Egypt is like everybody's like, oh, they made these with stone tools. All of that evidence is based off tools that you could find and evenly space on this very small table we're at right now. Correct. They found like 30. And it's like, oh, they must have built these giant fucking pyramids with them. Okay.
I heard someone else make a really good argument about that too. Like, if all human life ceased to exist tomorrow, 1,000 years from now,
we talked about this.
So much stuff would be like
there'd be
gone.
Nothing.
It would just gone.
Nothing.
In 10,000 years after that,
I think we talked about this on one of the episodes of the podcast.
We
honestly.
probably did.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to repeat myself a lot.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I just did a listen through of episode 1, and I'm pretty sure
How embarrassing.
the the pyramid talk about the tools and the other thing was all mentioned.
Well, you can
Yeah.
keep the nerd hat.
Yeah. And help us out because we don't know shit.
And we're going to talk about the same thing. Like, it's going to be the same 7 episodes.
Right. Just get ready to hear us talk in a different
Which is
way
fine
and
because,
tone.
like, to your guys' point of view, it's been how many years? And then I just did a re-listen, like, about a month ago when we...
since I haven't updated the same notebook.
It's been long enough that T-Rex bones wouldn't be here if they could actually fly. I don't know if that made
What
sense.
a terrifying thought.
But another thing,
Flying
too, so, like,
T-Rex.
my family just went to the Detroit Zoo, and they have this, like, dinosaur exhibit. And, like, everything that I've ever knew about dinosaurs or whatever, I pictured them being huge.
Right.
And then, like, we go through, and at the very end, they had the T-Rex, and I'm just like, that's it? Like, it's not as big as I thought it was going to be.
Right, like slightly bigger than like what a woolly mammoth would be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's, like, maybe, like, 12 foot tall.
Yeah.
A
Really?
basketball player
Wait,
could...
12 feet?
I don't
Like-
remember. I have photos of it.
Rep.
What is wrong with you guys? That is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, a giant fucking 12-foot lizard is terrifying, but also...
Okay. Just like slowly picture the magnitude of standing next to a really large fucking horse. Now
Listen.
make it a leathery fucking lizard.
I'm not saying it's not terrifying, Andrew, but
You
I'm
just
saying
scoffed at the idea of a 12-foot T-Rex.
Okay,
a
maybe
12-foot lizard with sharp teeth, I could kill with a bow.
Fuck
A
you guys.
30-foot lizard, I'm just gonna
A
die before it even
12-foot
looks at
lizard
me.
with sharp teeth you could kill with a bow?
Yeah, probably.
I
Okay.
mean,
Maybe.
probably not. I doubt you could even put an arrow through its fucking leathery skin.
I don't have a picture of a T-Rex, but it's the Brachiosaurus. And, like, supposedly that's, like, the biggest dinosaur of them all. And it's like, really?
Yeah, that's about what I expected, I guess.
But, I mean,
Did you guys
it's...
play Ark?
I
Oh
No.
shit, pass me the nerd.
I get the failed nerd hat because I have tried.
I never got into that. But,
mean,
like,
I
I
only played
pictured
it
them
on the
so
local
much
server.
bigger.
I guess that's fair.
I don't know. That's still
I blame
terrifying.
Jurassic Park.
We've been
Still
derailed.
terrifying to me.
Back to what we were talking about. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
Pyramids.
Pyramid.
No,
No,
before that.
You said put a pin in it.
Were we
now-
on the right subject already? We circled back and I stopped us. Yeah, because you were talking about dinosaurs. Now they're only fucking 8.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was repeating
stopped.
that again.
I derailed the train. I'm so sorry. We came right full circle. Anyway.
Let's see. Some other topics that I had was... I think this might have been Andrew that said this, but halfway people.
The halfway people.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And the not deer.
Okay, I know you think that it's funny, but when the first time you fill your pants with shit because you actually see one, I want a phone call.
I'll call you. All right, I'm not
Because-
saying that just
I didn't
them
fill my
existing-
pants with shit, but I felt nauseous. I was like, that's fucking gross.
I'm not saying that they're not real. I just think that it's funny because it's like all these people talk about cryptids like the skinwalker. Ooh, the shapeshifter can shift into whatever. That deer has eyes in the front.
It has forward-facing eyes. This is just a terrifying thought of something that is an herbivore,
predator
but
deer.
is shaped like an herbivore, but it's a predator. Like what? How does it eat you? Does it face open up like the Pomeranian from Blade 3? Or does it like just wait? Imagine just a big ass doe, right? Like she's 300 pounds. Just big ass doe, massive hooves on it. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just mad, and it just literally sprints at you dead on, bowls you over, and just wants to stomp you to death. You have to
That'd be
fight
terrifying.
it, kill it with a knife. I mean, you'd prevail. It's a deer.
Thank you for that confidence.
You're gonna kill it, but you're probably gonna look a little fucked up.
Like it's gonna get some.
But I don't
shots
think
in.
that's what a not deer is. I think a not deer is more like a skinwalker, shapeshifter kind of.
Like just kind of something that didn't quite get it right.
I think it's just I think a not deer might be a skinwalker that just takes deer form. You know what I mean?
I'm into that.
Like,
I mean, yeah, because if you're a skinwalker predator, you're not gonna compromise that by like, oh, I'm gonna look like a fucking.
yeah, I
Maybe
can't see straight. I have to turn my head sideways. I was just talking about.
the
I was
chameleons
just
with,
talking
like,
about the
Why
deer
the fuck is
dodging the
not you're
arrow.
so goddamn funny to me.
Just look at
The further we dive into it, I just can't normalize it.
That's why I don't even walk around in your yard without some kind of a big ass weapon.
It's dark as fuck back there, and there's a bamboo forest. I don't blame you.
I have been out there in broad daylight, and when have you ever seen me go out there without a weapon?
I mean, that's fair.
I swear to God, I saw not deer.
I mean,
one time.
even-
I am not getting caught by something that's gonna just. I don't know how they kill.
Even that little camping site we got back there, which is like 100, 150 yards. Like, I'll carry my gun out there with me.
Yeah, I always have my.
It's a weird
bow,
spot.
Whatever.
Yeah, you never know.
What
So-
else? Okay, the halfway people.
Diving into all the cryptids. I want all of them.
Speaking of the halfway people, they just found 2 sinkholes off the coast of Wisconsin in the bedrock of Lake Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And by sinkholes, I mean one of them is 600 feet in diameter.
What the fuck?
And they don't know how deep it is. Like, it just vanishes hundreds and hundreds of feet through the bedrock.
And now makes me think of the show La Brea, where they fell in and then they ended up time traveling back to like the time of the dinosaurs.
I don't know what that show is. Does he get the nerd hat back?
Yes. Because I don't know what he's talking about either. But what
It's a
if
great show.
what if we build a submarine,
I'm in.
Titan 3?
Let's turn the jet into.
We'll turn the Jetta into Titan 3. It'll be an Xbox controller this time. And
Xbox One controller. Let's notch it up at least a couple generations.
wait, didn't they just kill the Play Store for the Xbox 360? Or kill the servers? Didn't they just kill the servers for Xbox 360?
I think they did.
Did they really?
I
Yeah.
think they just did. They just shut down. Yeah, dude.
That hurts my childhood.
Do you
soul.
go in the other room? I already cried about this in private.
That hurts. We played so much Halo.
Oh my
Punisher,
god, the hours of Halo.
Oh my gosh, hat trick.
That's the
And
only
then, like,
reason I want to buy a new
going through-
Xbox is so I can get
Killtacular.
Halo again.
I have it for on Xbox.
Fucking
PlayStation.
brag some more. All right.
But anyways, I was gonna bring
Keep
up
the nerd
the amount of hours that we put into that, like
Any
getting
asshole
every level on Legendary.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Oh wow, you were those kids?
Yes,
those
we
kids.
were.
Okay.
And we had it down.
That's why I have
bro.
more outdoor experience.
I mean, yeah.
I'm jealous.
So what? I
Don't
know
get
how to
me
catch
wrong.
a fucking fish.
Don't
We
get me
did
wrong.
all the
I'm
levels
jealous.
of Halo.
The
on
only
Legendary.
reason I didn't is because I was locked out of the house and we didn't have an Xbox. So I had to go to the neighbor's house to do it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All I had left was so
That's all
obviously
you got? Did you even come prepared? I have
we're
so many more
from.
notes.
I got one more.
I left most of my notes at home.
'Cause
Well, I
obviously
got-
we're from Michigan, so the Michigan Triangle. We're
Michigan
gonna
Triangle's fun.
Yeah,
we're gonna
Michigan
obviously
We
Triangle.
live
reference
like
stuff.
right there.
Dog man, old mines. We should actually visit some
Melon
of the old-
heads.
We should go.
Yes,
Yes,
the melon
melon
heads.
heads. We should actually go like hike through some sites of old mines with some.
I'm down.
GoPros.
All we gotta
I'm
go.
down.
Do
I
that.
mean, 6 hours
We
away
could-
is Copper Harbor.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
we could go hike
I
through
feel
some
like it's more
old
than that.
mines
It's like
and then
4
just
to
sit
get to the
down.
bridge.
Yeah, but then it's all fucking open and there's nothing up there. Sorry, UP people. There's nothing up there. No one cares.
Or we can hike
Ooh,
around,
I got some pretty
hike around
rocks.
and like record an episode in a place like
Dude,
that,
I'm
or
down.
record some of those stories like we were talking
Yeah.
in a place like that.
Podcast number 2.
Yes.
We didn't even really, we touched on it a little bit with music and the occult, but just regular old demon possessions. I think that'd
Okay.
be such a
Demonic
good
possession,
one.
paranormal versus psychological
Are there-
occurrences.
and also UFOs. I know we talked about it a lot before.
UFOs or UAPs. There's another one they're using now too. I
Both.
forget what it's called.
Yeah, what is that new one?
I forget. It's
Non-earthly.
it's not
biologics or
aerial.
something.
It's like unidentified something.
Well, it's
or
like
other.
off-planet.
Well, no, they're
non-human
not even
shit or
calling it that
whatever.
anymore. But whatever it is, whatever it was, and I'm sure I probably saw this scrolling YouTube shorts off of somebody else's podcast or TikTok or fucking whatever. But it describes it as like a trans medium thing. Like instead of being an unidentified aerial phenomenon,
Oh,
it's something
I
else
see
that
where you're
describes
going.
them because they'll pass through water in the ocean with no effect to it, as if the air and the water is the same medium. So, but I forget what his acronym was. I'm too stupid to remember. So, how many books do you think you have read in your entire life?
4.
You said that with complete confidence. You didn't even
The
think
4
about
that
it.
I had to read in high school.
I think
Write
I
down
might-
2 cryptids.
I think I'm gonna cry. Reading was my escape for such a long time. Being one of those
Video
kids
games
that
was
wasn't
mine.
allowed to have video games, which would have absolutely been obviously. But we weren't allowed to have them, but we did have towering bookshelves full of books in a library.
I think reading books, I've probably done a couple. The Titanic.
That's not a cryptid, you dumbass.
It's
Not that you fucking know.
It's
all
a
right?
topic that they switched it last minute, and it really wasn't the Titanic.
Yeah.
It was the Olympia.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
getting
the,
into.
the Olympia.
You didn't even know.
I knew.
Oh, Josh is over here blowing smoke up our asses.
JP Morgan
Oh.
and shit.
So I knew the story. I just didn't know what it was called.
No, that's
I know.
yeah.
I just liked how you said it.
Oh.
JP Morgan and shit. Chase Bank. Fuck. Roll the dice. 11. All right. It's an interesting one. What would it take for you, myself included, to believe that a condor is in fact real?
Ooh.
Andrew,
I think well, I mean, a condor is real, but
and why is it on the list of cryptids, Andrew?
the thunderbird,
Then
because people often mistake.
oh, I see Thunderbird Condor. There shouldn't be a line there. We need one more. We should re-roll.
Well, the thunderbird is cryptid.
Right, but then it would have been a 10. We did not land a 10.
Okay. Well, instead of
I'm just
condor,
kidding. Thunderbird. My neighbor has a Thunderbird, so I do know that they're real.
Not the car.
Oh,
it's a
let me do some quick Googling then.
spiritual legendary creature.
So that's not the same as a phoenix that
No.
rises from the ashes or whatever. A mythological bird-like spirit in North American indigenous peoples' history and culture. It is considered a supernatural being of power and strength. Thunderbird, a Northwest coast-styled, not even going to try, totem pole depicting a thunderbird. That is from the Wikipedia page, Thunderbird Mythology. It's pretty solid. I got like 6.
I guess I don't know enough. So, like, for instance, I picked the Yeti.
Yes.
So, like, no information about it whatsoever. I just feel like it's the Bigfoot, but in the Himalayas.
I think that's accurate. I'm not like super knowledgeable there either, but I think that probably cryptologists everywhere are going to be screaming. But I would think that probably that's exactly just regional, like how there's different types of creatures, different kinds of deer on every continent or whatever, that the Bigfoot creature changes a bit environment to environment.
It kind of goes hand in hand with, like, a brown bear, grizzly bear, polar bear type scenario. But, anyways.
Should we roll the dice one more time? Because
Yes.
I don't know anything about Thunderbirds.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I'm looking at it's less of a cryptid, more of a spirit, blah blah blah, and like
I think it counts.
I
it's
put
part of
aliens
people's.
on here.
It's part of some people's religion, so we should probably not mess with it.
Right, and I put down like other things that are probably less respectable options than a Thunderbird. So
Could just switch it with the halfway.
I rolled a fucking 11.
Again.
That's what he rolled. All right, guys.
My
what would it
turn.
take? A 5. Flatwoods Monster.
What the hell is that?
Oh, it's so good. 1952, the Flatwoods Monster terrified 6 kids, a mom, and a dog. And a nation. History.com.
Oh, the thing's huge.
Yeah, it's like fucking, what, 8-10 feet or something like that?
There's like a little shadow comparison of it next to a person. Yeah, it's got to be like 9 feet tall.
Oh, yeah, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's so good.
A
All right,
bright
we'll roll
object
again.
crossed the sky and landed on the property of local farmer G. Bailey Fisher. The boys went to the home of Kathleen May, where they told their story. May, accompanied by the 3 boys, local children Neil Nunley and Ronnie Shaver, and West Virginia National Guardsman Eugene Lemon, went to the Fisher farm in an effort to locate whatever it was the boys said they had seen. The group reached the top of a hill where Nunley said they saw a pulsing red light. Lemon said he aimed a flashlight in that direction and momentarily saw a tall, man-like figure with a round red face surrounded by a pointed hood-like shape. Depictions varied. In an article for Fate magazine based on his tape-recorded interviews, UFO writer Gray Barker described the figure as approximately 10 feet or 3 meters tall, with a round, blood-red face, a large pointed hood-like shape around the face, eye-like shapes which emitted greenish-orange light, and a dark black or green body. May described the figure as having small claw-like hands, clothing like folds, and a head that resembled the ace of spades.
According to the story, when the figure made a hissing sound and glided toward the group, Lemon screamed and dropped his flashlight, causing the group to run away. The group said they had smelled a pungent mist and later said they were nauseated. The local sheriff and a deputy had been investigating reports of a crashed aircraft in the area. They searched the site of the reported monster, but saw, heard, and smelled nothing. According to Barker's account the next day, a Lee Stewart Jr. of the Braxton Democrat claimed to have discovered skid marks in the field in an odd gummy deposit, which were subsequently attributed by UFO enthusiast groups as evidence of a saucer landing. Huh, weird.
Damn, Andrew. A face for television and a voice for radio. You're a fucking catch. I'm
Wait, did you
jealous
say
of
I
your
had a
wife.
face for television?
Yeah.
Aw, it's the nicest thing anyone said to me this
Beautiful
week.
face, beautiful voice. My God. Anyway, that's Flat was Monster.
Yeah, it's kind of,
And I like how they included the skid marks part.
yeah, in the gummy substance.
Ooh. Okay, is this the man show or what? What would it take for you to fucking believe that this is real?
I would have to see it. I don't think there's
I think
any amount of circumstantial or physical evidence other than its corpse.
I think that that's what it would take for me. I would have to find its
Like,
dead body.
Corpse or
meet
like,
it.
Yeah, meet it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause
I would have to physically see it dead or alive.
I see shit out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, there's no fucking way. Oh my God, it was just, never mind.
I don't think I've ever done that, but I think it's shapes that have gotten me, especially in the woods. But it's almost always at dawn or dusk hours on moderately windy days, and that's just an easy way for your eyes to make things out of the moving trees and the shadows. And if you're in any form, paranoid, high, or hunting, then your senses are on high alert, and there's obviously a modicum of pareidoia. Pareidoia. Do you hear the L when you say that fucking word?
What?
Is there an L in it?
In paranoia?
No, pareidoia.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a psychological condition where people look at they see patterns that they want to see. They're
Like
kind of like how a Rorschach card works.
Okay.
kind of like, for instance, like the photos of Mars. And you see like a
Yeah, people argue that
skull or whatever.
People argue that it's pareidoia or pareidoia. That
I
it's
learned a new
just
word.
your mind tricking you into seeing what you want to see.
I like that. Like,
guess
super,
paranoia.
really intense.
It also
bias.
comes across when I say it into my phone. It thinks I'm saying paranoia as well. Maybe I'm butchering this word way worse than I thought.
Speaking of paranoia, I can't think of the name of what they're called, but they're like instances that happen to people. He said something that just like sparked it in my brain of like when you look somewhere and it looks like something just like hid behind something, like a tree. Have you ever had moments like that? They're like watchers or something like that. Peepers or something.
Peek-arounds or peekaboos.
Yeah, like, have you ever had that happen?
Yes.
no.
Like where you just like you're walking and you could have swore
You do
that
hear
some
the L.
kind of
It's
shadow.
Pareidolia. Not
Okay.
not pareidola, like pareidolia. The tendency to perceive a specific, often meaningful image in a random or ambiguous visual pattern. The scientific explanation for some people is pareidolia, or the human ability to see shapes or make pictures out of randomness.
I could listen to you read for hours.
Well, maybe I can get a job as
an
an audiobook reader.
Right.
That would be a dream career for me.
But no, you've never seen stuff like that?
No,
Walking down the road or down through the woods or whatever.
nothing like along those lines, nor paranormal.
I think I've only had it happen like a couple times, but it's like memorable of just like I could have fucking swore that I saw a shadow.
Exactly. Yeah.
I will say the only paranormal experience I've ever had, but close to it. My friend's neighbor had just died in their house. It was when we were kids, and it was probably like a week after they died. Lived right next to him, and for some reason we're kids. We're just like, let's go fucking check it out. And we hopped the fence, walked over there. They had an entryway that was kind of curtained off, and I like tried opening the screen door, and it wasn't locked, but like I got it open, and it just pulled out of my hands and closed again.
Oh.
And I was like, huh. and the ceiling fan in there just kind of like started spinning a little bit. And I was like, I'm fucking done. And I could have swore that at some point the shed door was open and it looked like the back of someone's foot like entering the shed when we were like leaving. And I was like, there's somebody in that fucking shed. When we were walking by, there's nobody in the shed. I
think I shared my one paranormal experience on here before when I was sitting in my room in the basement.
Yeah. I believe that was on episode 2.
Yeah.
Damn, we got a historian over here.
Like, again, I just recently listened to it, so it's fairly
Which probably would have been like a beneficial thing for us to do.
No. We're not trying
I don't think I will ever listen to it. Like, I recorded it. I'll never listen to it
right
again.
Like actors don't watch the movies they star in, I guess.
Is that a thing?
I think so. Or they lie and they're just really
is it like an all actor thing, like a tradition that carries on, or is it just some of them just don't?
My wife and I just talked about this, talking about like is it that they respect the art and they don't want to watch it, or they do watch it because they respect the art, or is it that's me on TV, fuck yeah, pretentious nonsense?
I know I have heard about some music artists that listen to their own music a lot, and that makes sense to me because so many artists, especially good ones, like you can hear so much of them in the music. Like that's part of like the music and the occult thing too, is how powerful I believe sound actually is. And like, why would you not? Like, you're making it because you like it. You love it. You're pouring so much of yourself. Why would you not listen to your own music? And I guess there's a big argument online or whatever about people who are like, oh, it's so arrogant listening to your own music. And like, I'm making something that I love. Why would I not?
And I get that.
Why would I not listen to it?
Because, like, I feel like if I ever made music, I would listen to it and think, like, how could I make this better? What could I do?
Yeah.
Like, as an actor or something, you could
have to. Like, if you're, say you don't have a record label, so you're not the one doing the editing, you'd have to go back and, okay, we record this take. I don't like the way the drum sounded this part. So, like, you, like, almost have to re-listen to it to refine it and make it better.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree.
I think the discussion that I was referencing was more like, obviously
Just
they have to listen to
out
it
of
so
pleasure.
much, you know, they're going to go on tour and work on it in the studio and work on all those things. But they're talking about like when they're in, like by themselves, like doing something like cleaning or going for a run or doing a leisure activity. Like, are you putting on your own songs, or are you you spent so much time working on them and doing all this other stuff, are you going to listen to your own music? I think it would be strange if someone listened exclusively to their own music.
That would be weird.
They probably would also have a very large portrait of themselves in their home.
All right, Nano Pumpkin. Time to call it a night.
It is time to call it a night.
Yep. So,
Episode 2 sometime after this at some point.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Or episode
Well, to you guys,
4?
it'll be like
4 or 5?
in a week, but for us recording.
Bye-bye.
All right. I think